For the kids being wrapped and stacked like baked potatoes, 22,000 of them who are currently in custody, this is a crisis. For Biden and Kamala, this is mission accomplished.
So now that Kamala is running for president instead of Biden, there are a lot of things being brought up again about her being the border czar, about her and Biden's refusal to build the wall, and all of that junk. It's like we've been shot back in time to 2021, and the same talking points are being rehashed over and over and over again. And along with blaming Kamala for being a bad border czar, which is not a real title, and is a name the Republicans gave her, they're also bringing back those original scare tactics about the border. Like this one.
Hey everyone, Lauren Boebert here at the incomplete wall in McAllen, Texas, because Biden halted construction for it on January 20th. Here, illegal aliens crossings are up, sex offenders crossing is up, cartels smuggling drugs and guns and humans is way up. For ordinary Americans, this is a crisis. For the kids being wrapped and stacked like baked potatoes, 22,000 of them who are currently in custody, this is a crisis. For Biden and Kamala, this is mission accomplished. The Border Patrol agents need our support, they need funding, and they need infrastructure.
Ah, yes. 2021, back when we were blaming Biden and Harris for the wall that Trump never finished, laying the blame of one of the most politically fraught issues that the White House was facing at Kamala's feet. Something that Biden tasked her with, in my opinion, a little unfairly when he just thrust that upon her and said, here you go, fix this. Pairing that blame with fear-mongering about the kind of people that were crossing the border, because apparently if you cross the southern border, that immediately labels you as a criminal and a rapist. But yes, blaming Kamala Harris, the single individual apparently responsible for the crisis at the border, is back in fashion.
I mean, she was the border czar. The numbers skyrocket.
You want to be factual and substantive,
those are all
and I
factual.
appreciate that. That is
Right.
a good instinct. So she wasn't the border czar. She was assigned to work to go to the countries that were the source of these immigrants and try and work with them to remove inducements for people to come here. But she never was the border czar. She wasn't in charge of the border. You will call her that, and she's going to have to contend with that.
The border czar is not an official term. It's a term that the media and the press made up and labeled her with. The task she was given was assisting and bolstering the economies of certain South American countries, because the conditions in those countries, the economic conditions, were pushing people to migrate north to America because of poverty. She wasn't tasked with dealing directly with the border itself. She was tasked with working with countries to help lower the rate of immigration. Not to mention, that was not her only responsibility, is not her only responsibility. That is one of the many things that she is in charge of and responsible for doing. But based on conservative media coverage, you would think that was her only job, that it was the easiest job in the world, and how could she possibly have failed?
Well, first of all, border czar, the title, is the title the Republicans gave her. The White House, the president did
What do
not
you
give
call
her
her
that.
then?
She assumed the role that Vice President Biden had during the Obama administration, which is diplomacy with Central America. There's a large hemispheric shift northward because of drought, famine, corruption, poverty, violence. There are aspects of our immigration system that serve as magnets for that.
Do I think Kamala Harris has done the best job at her job in dealing with these South American countries and dealing with the immigration crisis that we are facing as a country? No, I don't think that. But I also think blaming her for the entire crisis and using her as a scapegoat is cheap and absolutely 100% not accurate. This was an issue long before Kamala, and it's not something you solve easily overnight. This is one of the most politically fraught issues that our government has been trying to deal with for years, compounded upon by previous political executives. And conveniently, people seem to leave out the fact that when Trump was in office, he worsened the crisis by waging out an all-out war against Venezuela's economy. imposing sanctions. You also have to remember that when Trump was in office, we had a major global pandemic. Nearly every single country locked down its borders to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Way less people were immigrating into the United States, including from the southern border, because you couldn't get in, you couldn't go out, because we had a pandemic. We had a deadly plague spreading across the world. And in an effort to try and quell that, we locked down our borders. So Trump is taking credit for numbers that were due to the shutdown during the COVID-19 crisis and saying that that was his hit against the immigration crisis. We have since reopened the borders in regards to the COVID shutdown back to the way they were before. And all the people who wanted to come in during COVID and didn't, those numbers piled up. And now we have a whole influx of people that were rushing into the US. Again, do I think she did a bang up job, the best she could? No, I don't. I don't think she did a fantastic job. But blaming her for the entire crisis and not being able to solve it overnight is ridiculous. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out some of my content that isn't news related, you can check out my personal YouTube channel at Bad Gamer Wyatt. And until then, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.